Hello and welcome to another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Joanne and LaFlamme.
I'm Chris Costa.
Chris, what would you like to talk about today?
Well, we just put out a new version recently. I thought maybe we could cover some of the enhancements that were included in the version.
Great idea. We actually have a few great new enhancements on the cost center, so let's take a look at those today.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to go into File Maintenance, and I'm going to go up to Cost Centers, and I'm going to go down to Postpress, although the enhancements I'm going to talk about, some of which will work for all the cost center types. But I'm going to go down to Postpress, and I'm going to go to my cutting process. I'm going to hit Modify on the cost center at the top. And one of the things we did is we added this Edit Code button. What you can do here is you can edit the code, enter a new cost center code. So if I wanted to change it here from the 5,000 to something else, I can enter that new code there. And as soon as I hit the OK button, it'll update all the records in the database. Kind of like what we used to do, or we do for the processes and some of the other areas of the program.
Good.
Okay.
Very good.
Another thing that we added here, you'll notice there's a new tab for hourly rates. If I click on that tab, I can actually have the system calculate my hourly rates for me. If I know what the direct manufacturing rate is, and I'm just going to change it here so I have something different. So I'll put in $60 for my hourly rate. If I know what my burden percentage is here, I'll put in 30% here. When I click on the Update AI rates, it'll update my all-inclusive rate based on that direct manufacturing rate and burden. So it calculates the rate for me, and then if I want to update all existing processes, I can just click on that button and it will update all the existing processes in the system. I'm going to hit OK to save this. Now you'll notice when I click on the Add button as well, it also will bring in that all-inclusive rate and direct manufacturing rate automatically for me.
Good.
Okay?
Okay.
One other enhancement we've added at the cost center level, I'm going to click on Modify again. We have a new component type field in the cost center setup. So you can have it be for all, so this component type, or excuse me, this cost center could be for all different component types. But what if, say, this particular cutter, I only want it to work in my sheet fed area, or only used for my sheet fed area. By selecting sheet fed, now when I go into estimating order entry, and I add a component, and I'll go into my sheet fed component here. When I go over to processes, and I have multi-plant turn-ons, I'm going down to all plants here. And I go down to my Postpress cost center type, you'll see I have my 5,000 cutting cost center and all of its processes. But if I go into a digital or any of the other component types, when I go over to processes, go down to Postpress, you'll see that it's not there. So it'll let you have equipment that's dedicated to a certain cost center type.
Right. Okay. Now, what if by chance I didn't want it to show up at all in any of them in estimating?
Okay, so if you didn't want to show up to estimating, maybe you're going to use it for just scheduling.
Just scheduling, yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at that. Let me go back, or actually I can just go to standards right from here. We'll go up to cost centers. We'll go to our Postpress process. I'll click on Modify here, and you'll notice that at the very bottom of this list we have a none. So that'll give you that ability, so it won't show up for any cost center and estimating order entry, but you can schedule it.
Okay.
Okay?
Good. And I didn't notice, but the default, is it all?
The default is all.
Is all,
yes.
okay.
Yep.
So you'd have to switch it to something.
You have to switch it to something else,
All
yes.
right, good.
Okay.
Good, perfect.
Good question. All right, so now let's take a look at one more thing we can do here, and this is specific to a cutting process. I'm going to go down to my cut press sheet text process here and click on the Modify button. And we now have the ability to actually have the system automatically calculate the number of cuts that you need. That was something people have asked us for, and it will work for both parent sheet or press sheet cutting. If you want to do that, let's take a look. You want to check off this checkbox here for auto calculate number of cuts from table. If you uncheck it, the process is going to work like it always did. You bring it in, you have to tell it how many cuts. But if you check it, you then have to add the table, which is in this tab. This used to be called just materials. Now it's materials cut table. And you can build a table here based on the number out you're getting of the press or the parent sheet, whatever the costing method is here. Then whether or not it bleeds. And then tell it how many cuts it would be based on that number out in the bleed. So once that table's built and that option is checked, now I can go into an estimate. Let me cancel out of here. I have an example set up. So I'm going to edit this estimate here. I'm going to edit the component. I'm going to go over to Processes tab and down to Postpress. And I'm going to take out the one that I had in there and just bring it in again. So I'm going to bring in my cut press sheet text here. And you'll notice here it does say 1 right now. But once I calculate, that's when it's going to go figure everything out and go check the table and see how many cuts. And you see it gave me the right number here. And if I edit the process, you'll see I've got my 8 cuts there.
Good.
So it makes that process of figuring out how many cuts a little easier.
Yeah, it's a little more streamlined. Yeah.
Right.
Good.
One other thing we should take a look at today is a change we did in the digital side.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to cancel out of here, and we'll just come out of estimating order entry and go back into file maintenance. I'm going to go up to cost centers and go to digital. And I'll just edit one of my digital run processes here. And you'll notice we have this new field here underneath the costing method. And you have 3 choices. You have finish sheet, press sheet, final page size. We used to just have a checkbox there that it could say, you know, based on the finish sheet. And then if you didn't have it checked, it was on the press sheet. If you did have it checked, it was on the finish sheet, which is your untrimmed signature flat size, basically. Well, now we have 3 options. We've added final size. So you can choose final size and have it based on that.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Now, what was the default before?
With this new version, what's going to do is it's going to default to finish sheet. So you will have to check your processes when you go in, because if you used to use press sheet, you may need to go in and check, and if it's set to finish sheet, reset it to
Just
press
make
sheet.
this change. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Good.
All right.
Makes sense.
Do you have any other questions?
No, I think that was good.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
Chris Costa.
Please look forward for more to come.